Hillary Clinton is an American politician and diplomat. She was the 67th United States Secretary of State in the administration of Barack Obama from 2009 to 2013, a U.S. Senator representing New York from 2001 to 2009, and the First Lady of the United States as the wife of Bill Clinton from 1993 to 2001. Born October 26, 1947, age 77 years, Edgewater Hospital, Chicago. Spouse, Bill Clinton, M. 1975. Party, Democratic Party. Previous offices: United States Secretary of State, 2009 to 2013. See more. Education: Yale Law School, 1969 to 1973. See more. Children: Chelsea Clinton. Early life and education. Early life. Hillary Diane Rodham was born on October 26, 1947, at Edgewater Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. She was raised in a Methodist family who first lived in Chicago. When she was 3 years old, her family moved to the Chicago suburb of Park Ridge. Her father, Hugh Rodham, was of English and Welsh descent and founded a small but successful textile business. Her mother, Dorothy Howell, was a homemaker of Dutch, English, French-Canadian, from Quebec, Scottish, and Welsh descent. She grew up with two younger brothers, Hugh and Tony. As a child, Rodham was a favorite student among her teachers at the public schools she attended in Park Ridge. She participated in swimming and softball and earned numerous badges as a Brownie and a Girl Scout. She was inspired by U.S. efforts during the space race and sent a letter to NASA around 1961 asking what she could do to become an astronaut, only to be informed that women were not being accepted into the program. She attended Maine South High School, where she participated in the student council and school newspaper and was selected for the National Honor Society. She was elected class vice president for her junior year, but then lost the election for class president for her senior year against two boys, one of whom told her that, "You are really stupid if you think a girl can be elected president." For her senior year, she and other students were transferred to the then-new Maine South High School. There she was a National Merit Finalist and was voted most likely to succeed. She graduated in 1965 in the top 5% of her class. Rodham's mother wanted her to have an independent, professional career. Her father, who was otherwise a traditionalist, felt that his daughter's abilities and opportunities should not be limited by gender. She was raised in a politically conservative household, and she helped canvass Chicago's South Side at age 13 after the very close 1960 U.S. presidential election. She stated that, while investigating with a fellow teenage friend shortly after the election, she saw evidence of electoral fraud, a voting list entry showing a dozen addresses that was an empty lot, against Republican candidate Richard Nixon. She later volunteered to campaign for Republican candidate Barry Goldwater in the 1964 election. Rodham's early political development was shaped mostly by two people. Her high school history teacher, Paul Carlson, was one. Like her father, Carlson was a fervent anti-communist, who introduced her to Goldwater's The Conscience of a Conservative. Another was Donald Jones, her Methodist youth minister, who, like her mother, was concerned with issues of social justice. She was with Jones' youth group when she saw and afterwards briefly met civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., when he gave a speech in 1962 at Chicago's Orchestra Hall. Carlson and Jones came into conflict in Park Ridge. Clinton would later see that as an early indication of the cultural, political, and religious fault lines that developed across America in the 40 years. Wellesley College years. Rodham sitting on a panel, flanked by two other candidates. In 1965, Rodham enrolled at Wellesley College, where she majored in political science. During her first year, she was president of the Wellesley Young Republicans. As the leader of this Rockefeller Republican-oriented group, she supported the elections of moderate Republicans John Lindsay to mayor of New York City and Massachusetts Attorney General Edward Brooke to the United States Senate. She later stepped down from this position. In 2003, Clinton would write that her views concerning the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War were changing in her early college years. In a letter to her youth minister at that time, she described herself as a mind conservative and a heart liberal. In contrast to the factions in the 1960s that advocated radical actions against the political system, she sought to work for change within it. By her junior year, Rodham became a supporter of the anti-war presidential nomination campaign of Democrat Eugene McCarthy. In early 1968, she was elected president of the Wellesley College Government Association, a position she held until early 1969. Following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., Rodham organized a two-day student strike and worked with Wellesley's black students to recruit more black students and faculty. In her student government role, she played a role in keeping Wellesley from being embroiled in the student disruptions common to other colleges. A number of her fellow students thought she might someday become the first female president of the United States. To help her better understand her changing political views, Professor Alan Schechter assigned Rodham to intern at the House Republican Conference, and she attended the Wellesley in Washington summer program. Rodham was invited by moderate New York Republican Representative Charles Goodell to help Governor Nelson Rockefeller's late entry campaign for the Republican nomination. Rodham attended the 1968 Republican National Convention in Miami Beach. However, she was upset by the way Richard Nixon's campaign portrayed Rockefeller and by what she perceived as the convention's veiled racist messages, and she left the Republican Party for good. Rodham wrote her senior thesis, a critique of the tactics of radical community organizer Saul Alinsky, under Professor Schechter. Years later, while she was the First Lady, access to her thesis was restricted at the request of the White House and it became the subject of some speculation. The thesis was later released. In 1969, she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts, with departmental honors in political science. After some fellow seniors requested that the college administration allow a student speaker at commencement, she became the first student in Wellesley College history to speak at the event. Her address followed that of the commencement speaker, Senator Edward Brooke. After her speech, she received a standing ovation that lasted 7 minutes. She was featured in an article published in Life magazine because of the response to a part of her speech that criticized Senator Brooke. She also appeared on Irv Kupcinet's nationally syndicated television talk show, as well as in Illinois and New England newspapers. She was asked to speak at the 50th anniversary convention of the League of Women Voters in Washington, D.C. the next year. That summer, she worked her way across Alaska, washing dishes in Mount McKinley National Park and sliming salmon in a fish processing cannery in Valdez, which fired her and shut down overnight when she complained about unhealthy conditions.